Okay, so now we're gonna take a few questions from the crowd. So anybody have any questions for the man, the myth, the legend, Tinker Hatfield?
For Jordan 11, no stop, the IE, what does the IE stand for?
Good question.
The IE, I have no idea. Now, and I think I need to follow that up with a description of what I do at Nike. I design shoes. I design shoes for the future. I never work on retros purposefully because I'm supposed to be somebody who's supposed to be always looking forward. And so I don't even, a lot of times I don't even name the shoes. I just don't have, I just pretty much design the stuff and then I move on. And I'm always kind of going forward. So I don't always even know. Huh? Well, it's kind of a remix. It's kind of a remix, yeah. And with retro stuff. So even though I might work on a project, I don't always do the actual naming of the projects.
Any more questions, sir?
What can we expect in Jordan 2011?
2011. Well, that design's been in the can for about 6 months, and we're about halfway through designing the 12 right now. What you should know about Jordans, I mean, when you work on so many different basketball shoes, and I work on Kobe's with some people, and I used to work on LeBron's until this entourage kind of pissed me off, but so that's crazy. But,
a whole other story, huh?
That's a whole other thing. LeBron's great, but his entourage. Anyway, the 11s, I think one of the things you should know about Jordans is that as we look at all these performance basketball shoes, and I underline the word performance because they have to work for the best players in the world. In the case of Jordans, of course, Dwayne Wade is going to be one of our main guys going forward. But the idea behind Jordans is to always keep them differentiated from, say, anything else in the Nike line. And what we're going to do is, in the 2011, will hopefully sort of bring that point home. That we're going to continue to actually sort of draw a little bit from the past with handcrafted, more beautiful materials, and even using stitching more often than say we would in Nike. Nike shoes are going to be more plastic and maybe more sort of futuristic. And Jordans are going to be modern and high tech and all of that, but they're going to have much more of a hand, much more of a touch, much more of a, gutsy sort of leathery feel. Something that I think when you buy them, you should want to take care of them. So that's kind of the Jordan 2011, which I can't describe it too much, or somebody really get mad. But it's going to have there's going to be a little bit of flavor from the past, and there'll be a little bit of mixing from the future, and it'll all be done in what we're calling a very premium, sort of handcrafted, sort of beautiful style. So I think it'll be very wearable, but you'll also see them in the NBA because they're super light and super high performance too. So,
any more questions? Sorry.
What's your favorite MJ story?
Oh, favorite MJ story. Well, some of them can't be told in public. My favorite story is a kind of an emotional one for me because it says a lot about his character, and that is the story. I used to go and hang out at his house and try and understand who he was and his life. And sometimes I'd be there, before basketball games in Chicago, and usually I was with another guy at Nike, fantastic man. His name is Howard White, and he's one of Michael's good buddies, and also kind of a way for me to get closer to Michael is to kind of become a part of this little more of an inner circle. So I would go stay at Michael's house, and one day when he was playing against the New York Knicks, third game, Chicago was down 2-0. They played the first 2 games in New York City. And so the third game was now going to be in Chicago, and you don't want to lose that third game. You don't want to be down 3-0 in a 7-game series. And this was for the right to go to the World Championships. Anyway, so I'm riding with Michael to the game. I'm in the back seat of his car. He goes through kind of a rough neighborhood. It wasn't the normal way you would drive to, you know, the basketball arena. It just wasn't the normal way to go. And I know Chicago pretty well. We were in the hood, yes, that's it. Yeah. We were driving through the hood. Anyway, so there were 5 kids standing on the street corner, and Michael pulled, and you could tell that they were there for a purpose. They were waiting for something, and Michael pulled right next up next to these young guys, and they were about 12, 13, and 14 years old, right around in that age group. And Michael rolled down the window, and they obviously knew Michael. They said hello. They were talking back and forth. Michael was giving them some advice, gave them some tickets to the game. Sometimes he would give them shoes. Sometimes he'd give them cash. He'd give them money. Sometimes it was just good advice. And these kids were just kids that he just found in the street one day, and throughout his entire career, I didn't understand what was going on other than I thought, this is great. He was talking to these kids on the way to one of the most important basketball games in his life. He stops and talks to these kids, and I just go, wow, that's really cool. Well, then later on, I asked him what it was all about, and he said, oh, those guys, I stop and talk to those kids before every single basketball game that I play in Chicago. And he did it until those kids graduated from high school, and he still is in touch with 2 or 3 of them today, and just says something about how cool he is, and he helped some of those kids, you know, improve their lives and move on, and it was really a great story. And so I think it's one of my favorite all-time stories, and it's a true story. I saw it. So I think that's more than that.